Recording in progress.
And that's the Cinnamon. Episode
Welcome.
74. Man.
Welcome.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cinnamon. It is your host, one of your hosts, Seed, joined as always by Paprika's designated survivor, Douglas Davidson. How are you doing today, sir?
Designated survivor. Oh God, I don't need that pressure.
It's been bestowed upon you for quite some time. I don't think.
Damn it!
I don't know if I ever told you, but yes, we put that on you quite some time ago.
Way to tell me when the mic's on. So, thank you for this honor. I'm so grateful.
It was decided back in 2019.
Shit.
Yeah. You've been performing admirably because we're all still alive.
Wait. I've been performing normally because everyone is still alive. Hopefully, I would be performing admirably after
yes,
I would be goddamn devastated.
So. Yeah. So continue to be Paprika's designated survivor, good sir. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since we filmed. Maybe about 3 weeks since the last episode ish.
You've been busy
like that. Been a little busy.
You've been busy out there dominating like Thanos in Infinity War at your MCU trivia.
Yes, that the fuck we did. And it was incredibly satisfying to hear their boos. Yeah, man. So we're back with some new-ish for you, ma'am. So it's been a while. What, sir, have you seen worth mentioning lately?
I have seen some things worth mentioning that I'm going to do in brief, and then one thing that I don't know if it's worth seeing at all, but I have seen it. The first three that I'm going to mention, I'm going to sort of do as a group. They're each 4K restorations. The first is Joel Schumacher's The Lost Boys. Did not realize this was a horror comedy when I was a kid. I didn't realize that. And it is. The movie is fucking ridiculous.
I mean, and this is a movie that features a truck with a horn playing La Cucaracha?
No. But even if it does, I mean...
I gotta look this up. Please keep talking.
Okay, go for it. But with The Lost Boys, I was too scared to see it when I was a kid because, vampires, horror movie. This is what I understand it to be. And it wouldn't be the first horror movie that played on like Comedy Central, whatever cable thing that was on. But I never checked it out. It wasn't until watching it for the 4K release, which is a pretty nice 4K. The video is great on it. There's no new audio track, and all the bonus features are legacy features. But I found out in my research for it that Richard Donner was supposed to have directed this. He's the producer on it. He was supposed to direct it, and that originally they were looking for a Goonie-style vampire movie. And so it's supposed to be younger characters doing this kind of thing. It ended up, they aged it up when I believe Donner stepped down, which explains some of the humor and some of the approach. And a lot of this movie makes no fucking sense, but it's got stupid sexy David and sexy sax man. So, go and have a good time.
There you go.
And if you like The Lost Boys, the 4K restoration Warner Brothers put out is worth the watch, particularly if you've got just a DVD. Another movie is a film I'd never heard of. And I need to go check because I'm looking at this, if I fucked it up in my actual review or if Letterboxd has it wrong. So give me a second, as I have just noticed this. But 88 Films put out a 4K restoration of a movie called Drive. Now, I thought the director was Steve Wong, but it could be. I need to find out if they're wrong on Letterboxd that it's Steve Wang. And it could be my eyesight sucks and I substituted the wrong thing, in which case I owe a severe apology because, oh God, I'm wrong. What a fucking way to find out. But it's on the record and I'm gonna own that shit. So I need to fix some shit when we get off the air. Anyway, Steve Wang directed this movie from 97, features Mark Dacascos, Kadeem Hardison, Brittany Murphy, and a couple of other familiar faces. It's a Hong Kong style action flick that's a comedy sci-fi in America. And it basically, if you're not familiar with it, most people know Lost Boys. I didn't need to go into that shit. But with Drive, Mark Dacascos plays a Chinese
man trying to kill John Wick.
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
yet. Not yet. This is before he's Zero.
Oh, okay.
Although if there was a relationship between that character and this character, it would just make it even more fun.
Hmm.
Because this version, the character Mark Dacascos plays here is a big movie nerd and keeps making movie jokes and movie references. When pulled over by the cops and asked for his name, he says Sammo Hung. So, I mean, immediately I'm charmed by this. But the premise of it is he's a Chinese secret agent who is on the run because he finds out that the prototype he has in his chest is going to be sold off to, I believe, the Japanese. This was during the switchover and control of Hong Kong. And so he's not for it. And he's on the run and he ends up sort of having no choice, but he takes Kadeem Hardison hostage and ends up being like, look, dude, you get me where I need to be. I'll split the money with you that they're going to pay to take this thing out of my chest. Hilarity and chaos ensues. The Blu-ray sold out fast, so the 4K might be the only way to get a copy of this if this is the kind of thing that interests you. The audio isn't where you might want it to be in terms of a 5.1 audio track. I found it to be a lot more front facing than 5.1 immersive, but the action is so great. Brittany Murphy puts together a performance that is hilariously like chaotic as a young girl who is running the family business hotel that suddenly gets attacked and blown the fuck up. Like she's just hitting on both of them hard, particularly Kadeem Hardison. He wants the D. She wants the D bad from him. And then when the gunmen show up, she's like, fuck this shit without missing a beat, picks up one of the guns and start murdering people.
All
And then
right
she's
then.
out of the movie. And then she's so I'd recommend checking that out. And then another film that meant a lot to me as a kid, Martha Coolidge's Real Genius, 1985. That also got a 4K restoration. This one also has legacy features, though there is a deleted scene and then 20 minutes of raw footage of how they shot that deleted scene, if that's your bag. But this is a perfect 4K restoration. It looks great. It sounds great. And thankfully, the movie holds up. So those are three restorations that I would recommend. A fourth restoration that is separate from those is Darius Martyr's Sound of Metal from 2019, but was released wide in 2020. It's getting a Criterion release, 4K, Blu-ray, DVD. I got to take a look at the Blu-ray. I'll have a full restoration review hitting Elements of Madness very, very soon, if not already by the time this releases. And if you enjoyed Sound of Metal, it's one of my favorite films of 2020. This restoration does it justice. You've got an interview with martyr and co-writer and co-story creator Derek Cianfrance, who was originally going to make the movie before, for reasons, had to step back, and Darius took it over with permission. There's a featurette that has Darius with the sound designer because sound design is so significant to this film. You've got a sort of for your consideration awards featurette that runs about 15 minutes. You've got the music video for the song that plays over the credits with a brand new introduction. And there's also an amazing essay that is in the liner notes. So if you enjoyed Sound of Metal, it's streaming on Prime Video now, but it is a great, great restoration if you're thinking about picking it up. Now, last but not least, and this is a movie you have seen, Sir Seed. It is in theaters now. It is coming to Netflix either on the 28th or 30th of this month, but it's Andrew Dominique's Blonde.
Mm.
This was a fucking assault on the audience and for sure an assault on the idea of Norma Jean, the idea of Marilyn Monroe. You gave it a 3 on Letterboxd. I'm not sure I'd rate it that high.
That sounds about right.
Technically it's an impressive movie, but at the same time there's things happening in this movie that seem a violation of the character. So even if technically impressive, it's also vastly unnecessary. For those of you that are not familiar, Blonde is a story about Marilyn Monroe, but it jumps from when she's about 7 years old to when she's about 25. It skips over one of her marriages. It apparently reframes some of the relationships that she's had, as well as reframes Monroe's actual documented experiences with abortion, pregnancy, and a number of other things. Um, while I don't want to spoil the movie for anyone, for people that might have a problem with certain ideas or imagery, there is a talking fetus, which fucked me up. That thing fucked me up hard. Like, it really messed with me after everything else that was happening. And there's actual camera work where we get to see from the perspective of inside Marilyn when a device, I forget the name of it, goes into her to open her up to have an abortion. And there's so much that is happening that feels like a violation of Marilyn, where it's almost at the point of, if the movie is trying to, if Dominique's concept is that this movie is showing the way that the media, the press, the industry, men in general, chewed up Marilyn Monroe and spit her out, this movie seemed to side with the media to me. It didn't seem to have much reverence for Marilyn herself, and more just kept finding ways to abuse her. I know it's based on a true story, but the way that you tell that story matters. The things that you choose to focus on matters. So I'm not sure I'd recommend this movie, but it's coming to Netflix in case you want to check it out. Do you want to share any of your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
I liked your review, by the way.
Oh, did you? I was drunk as shit when I wrote that review, and I refused to go back and reread it. I'm not. I haven't read the book. This is. I'm not sure if he's recontexturing of his own free will or he's adapting from Joyce Carol Oates, who in herself is problematic. But that's a whole different bag of beans. This is the person who criticized Spielberg for killing a triceratops on Twitter. If you remember that way back in the days, that was her.
She's the one who wrote the book.
Yeah, yeah. It all makes sense now, doesn't it?
How could we possibly allow this?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
I do see it as the chew up and spit out of Norma Jean, and it takes a brutal look at that, because it was a brutal life that she led. And it's like I said, the only thing I remember about my review, it's long, but it's worth it, I think, if for no other reason than to just watch Anna de Armas do her thing. I think that she is
She's
amazing
great.
in this. She is award worthy, in my opinion, and I am hoping that she gets some kind of love. If the movie itself doesn't get much love, okay, but hopefully she gets love for her portrayal of Norma Jean, because I thought she was going all in and swinging hard for the fences in this. Technically, yes, it is a wonderful movie technically, as far as all that is concerned. I enjoyed it, man. I really enjoyed it. It's a brutal start look at this fucked up woman's life with little to no apologies. And that's kind of how life is.
Life can be that way, and in fact, her life may have very well have been that way. I'm not about to argue that one way or the other, so much as someone can have a harsh life, but the way in which their story is told should still be authentic to that.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, this film presents Marilyn as desperately wanting to get pregnant, for example, but it doesn't deal with the fact that she dealt with there's a condition, a lot of people have it, PCOS. I forget what it stands for, but where getting pregnant can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a medical condition. And this film sort of skips over that part and seems to define her strictly by whether or not she's someone that can be fucked and how she can be fucked.
Yeah.
It's the difference between I think there was a different way to show the scene with her and JFK than the way that it was done.
That's one of my favorite
because the
scenes in
movie can be NC-17 doesn't mean it has to be NC-17.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Yeah, it's a wild joint, man. If you got to spare 5 damn days to watch this movie. 166 minutes, man. It's a long, brutal watch, but
It is.
I say it's a one and done. It's a watch. Like, damn, that was some shit, and then you don't need to watch it again. Is
Yes.
my joint there.
What else have you been watching?
I saw Barbarian, man.
Ooh.
That's some shit.
Is that a good? That's some shit.
It is. Barbarian is a very good movie. Directed by, I'm trying to get back to it here. Hold on a second. There we go. Directed by a fairly new cat on the scene. I do believe Zach Krager, new to making movies. I think he's been around for a little while now.
Gotcha.
I think he's part of the Whitest Kids You Know crew. There's a show that was back in the late aughts or something like that. Anyways, horror movie, because this is the time frame we are unfortunately in right now. If you are unfamiliar with what Barbarian is all about, it's about a young woman who was in town for a job interview. She was booked a B&B to stay in Detroit for this job interview. And when she gets to the B&B, she finds out there's someone in the house. And that's
There always is.
There always is. Georgina Campbell is our actress, and that's someone in the house is, of course, Pennywise himself, Bill Skarsgård. And
Wait,
then
Pennywise, is this an It sequel and I missed it?
It is. It is It 3. And yeah, and then things ensue after that. It's a little bit your creature feature type deal. It's got a little bit of humor in there. It's also just a well-made horror movie. I think Justin Long is cast perfectly in this movie. As something you don't often see from him. It's just very well done. They're small, minimalist cast. It's for the most part all set in this one house with the maybe about an exception of 5 or 6 scenes. Very well done. And it's a pretty quick movie, man. 102 minutes, get in, get out. It is a very good action or a horror movie. It's one I do believe worth checking out in theaters.
Right on. I've heard that it is one of the better better horror films to be released in some time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've only seen a handful from this year. I haven't seen Pearl yet. That's on the list. But of what little I have seen, I've really dug. Really dug Barbarians. Make sure you check that out.
Have
I
you
also
seen X?
Yeah, I saw
Can't
it
remember.
the day it came out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm honor bound, sir. That's A24. I also saw that new Disney Pinocchio. Shit's whack. Let's move on. These live action adaptations are just getting worse and worse and worse and worse as they go on. There's nothing inspirational or original about that adaptation. I put it at bottom tier Zemeckis work. I don't know what Tom Hanks is doing. It's just there's nothing worthwhile about that movie to me. The only worthwhileness that could come out of this movie is getting people to watch the original Pinocchio or some other version of Pinocchio.
That's what I watched. I watched something just recently that had a great Zemeckis joke, and you mentioning Zemeckis made me think of it.
What was this? Who put?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll get there.
All right, fine. So yeah, you can skip that one. See How They Run. I also saw it. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I thought the characters in the movie are great. I thought the story stuff is pretty flimsy.
What?
Yeah. I thought the actual mystery in a murder mystery about a murder mystery is a great concept for a murder mystery comedy type deal. I just thought the actual mystery stuff was kind of weak. It's like they made these great characters and they're like, oh yeah, I guess we do have to give some kind of world and story to put them in, and so they plopped them in. I think great world, great characters, just a flimsy story.
Did you know that it's based on a real one?
Based on a what?
Real one.
It was a murder mystery at a murder mystery?
No. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, with See How They Run, is that the premise of it is that there's a staged adaptation of an Agatha Christie story called The Mousetrap. And within the movie, we discover, this isn't a huge revelation, this isn't a spoiler kind of deal, but that there's going to be a movie made about the Mousetrap, except the movie can't be made until the play itself stops but the play is such a success, it just keeps going. Apparently, this actually happened. There was a stage adaptation of The Mousetrap. There was a deal where it could not be made into a movie until X amount of time had passed, except the play ran for like 100 years
Man, you hate to
or
see it.
something. It was in the production notes, and they thought that tidbit was so great that they would use that. They were like, we can build something out of this.
Yeah.
And so there is a
That's
kernel
the
of truth.
seed. All right, right on. I can get down with that. I can get down with that.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Which have been developed into something better. But Saoirse Ronan is a goddamn delight. I'm not sure what it was that that Sam Rockwell is doing in this movie.
Depression.
The depression, yeah, not
survived
great.
World War II.
Not
Depression. That's what he's doing.
Not a fan of his choices at all. Of course, Adrian Brody. I've said it a million times. No one is a better jerk in comedies than Adrian Brody is. Go back and watch Grand Budapest Hotel, which is his finest jerk work. But he's good at being hateable. Whereas Matt Damon is subtle about being great at being hateable. Adrian Brody puts his hateability right there on Front Street for everybody to see. He's not in the movie long, but every time he's in there, it's damn golden. David Oyelowo looks like he was having a blast just shooting up the scenery, being the arrogant writer. It looks like they had fun making this movie. I just wish it was a better movie they'd made.
One thing, Crystal did not get to watch the movie with me. Screened it at home. She did not get to watch it with me. But when I was telling her about the movie and I described Adrian Brody and his character, she goes, "Oh, Mr. Body."
Yep. Yep. That's exactly
that is all I've thought ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're waiting on Glass Onion, this is something that can whet your appetite and tide your wit.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And between the two of us, having also read your review, I liked it more than you did, and I suspect I would have liked it more if for some reason the Apple TV app that I was using, which normally has no issues, crashed 3 times. And it would play fine, and then about 25 minutes in, crash, go another 15 minutes, crash again, go 10 minutes. I was like, if not for the fact that I liked these characters, I liked the way that they were telling the story, I would have given up on it. But I pulled it up on the computer, ran the HDMI cable back to my stereo, and was like, let's fucking do this. Yeah. And it played for the rest of it. So I wonder if I would have liked it more. Because a movie like this in particular, you don't need it as much with Knives Out, but this film was playing with rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have somebody make a comment, and then it would throw it away to something. Like
great cuts and edits all throughout this
movie. So great that you had to have that momentum. So I wonder if I would have liked it more had it been able to maintain it. But anyway, to each their own.
To each their own. I'm pretty sure that's all I'm cool to talk about. Saw some other stuff. Let's say that for another day. What are we here to talk about today, sir?
We are here to talk about an idea that you had, which I think is brilliant, because especially when you watch as many movies as we do during a year, that there comes a moment when, sure, you might see that there's a director that you really love that's made a movie. You see a writer that you really love who's written a movie, a cast, top to bottom, Oscar winners, or just masters of their craft, whatever the fuck it is. And then you see the length. And it's 180 minutes. And then there's movies. It doesn't matter who the fuck's in it. You see it's 90 minutes and you go, yeah.
This is some shit I can get behind.
Particularly when you watch as many movies as we do, there comes a point where sometimes just a nice tight story is exactly what you need. Because I'm probably going to misquote Ebert here. A great movie can feel short, and a bad movie can feel terrible or can feel too long.
Yeah.
So length, you need the length to tell the story, but you can have a great one in 90 minutes. So we are here today to talk about some of our favorite 90-minute movies that run the Gambit from historically Dumbo, the original animated, Frankenstein, Before Sunset, Rope, the original Toy Story, A Night at the Roxbury, the original Ghost in the Shell,
Yeah.
Hi, Black Dynamite, Fruitville Station, Run Lola Run, which is a fantastic fucking movie. It's getting a 4K release, but it's part of a fucking collection, so I doubt I'll be able to get it. This is Spinal Tap, District B13, which is a great fucking movie. City Lights, which thankfully I saw recently.
Yeah.
Zombieland, I did not realize was under 90 minutes, but that's a great flipping movie. And the previous two Teen Titans Go movies. To the Movies, one of the best animated features to come out the year it was released, and Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans, which gives us the double butt. So what's not to like about that?
Well, there you go.
Have you seen Teen Titans
I
Go versus Teen Titans?
never cared about Teen Titans. They were never my concern in comics or in the shows.
I never watched the Teen Titans animated series. I've read a few of the comics, but after going to a wedding when Connor was super little, and I went to go do something with the bride, so Crystal was entertaining Connor, found Teen Titans Go. He became a big fan, so it became a thing to watch. And now we do the movies, and they're pretty damn entertaining. And particularly the Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans actually brings every version of Teen Titans that have ever existed from like the comic books. It's a big multiverse thing to fight against Trigon, except Trigon of the Teen Titans Go universe has swallowed the Trigon of the regular animated Teen Titans universe and therefore becomes Hexagon. So he has 4 legs and 2 butts.
Well, there you go.
Like you do.
As you do.
And in under 90 minutes, it's a great little multiversal adventure. So we are here to talk about 90-minute movies. And what's your first one? This was your topic.
Yeah. First one you mentioned, Black Dynamite, man, coming in at 84 minutes. This is one of my favorite comedies. This a satire, I guess you call it, of black exploitation movies. It's got comedy, it's got action, it's got Michael Jai White doing what Michael Jai White should have been doing his entire career. Just because you're big and muscly doesn't mean you can't be funny. And that's exactly what he is. His timing is perfect. The story is just absolute nonsense. Well, actually, the story is like your typical black exploitation movie of taking down the man and trying to get the stuff off the streets and clean up the neighborhood. It's just how they go about it is absolutely ridiculous. Cast list is wonderful. Yet Arsenio Hall is in there, Tommy Davidson is in there, Brian McKnight is in there. There's the one big ensemble scene of all the pimps and the bad guys and whatnot. It's just Sally Richardson as well is in there. It's just funny. It's just funny from top to bottom all the way through. And it's one of those, even if you don't get the origins of some of the jokes, I think the execution of said jokes are wonderful. And they play with all kinds of humor with double entendres and slapsticks and all kinds of this and that, and just clever witty turns and phrases and all that good shit. It's if you love old black exploitation, you'll love this movie. And if you don't, or you're not as well versed in it, there's still enough in there for you.
I have not seen all of it. Would it be better to describe it as an homage more than a satire? Because a satire would more like explore something through comedy, whereas this one, sort of in the way that I would imagine the Hebrew Hammer is an homage to, it's not satirizing black exploitation films or any sort of exploitation movie, like the Chopsaki films that came out of Hong Kong, for example. But would that be more of an homage? But with a comedic spin, like not taking itself seriously, but sort of lampooning those movies?
I think I would still land on satire because, like, I guess lampooning is a good word. Satire to me is it's able to do the thing and poke fun of the thing at the same time, and that's what this is. Like I consider Shaun of the Dead to be a satire of the comedy genre or the zombie genre subgenre. I guess I would say it's a satire of that. Hot Fuzz is a satire, I think, of action movies or overly excessive action movies, especially with that third act. I think this one is definitely upholding and poking fun of it at the same time of just how ridiculous those movies were back in the days that treated themselves so seriously.
Right on. Right on. At some point, I got to watch the whole thing.
Yes.
I've already almost had Michael Jai White murder me. So the least I could do is watch the rest of his
What the
movie.
least you could do is watch the rest of this movie.
You've heard that story before, right?
I don't think you've told me that. What did you do?
Okay. In brief. So one of his really good friends, at least one of his really good friends at the time, was a stunt person. And this was like in 2010, maybe. I was helping out at Action Fest when it was an action film festival that was running out of Asheville, North Carolina, which was being run by Chuck Norris's brother. And there's like a couple people that are a big part of the Toronto cinema scene that were involved in this film festival. It was fun. It was fantastic. Well, apparently one of the early things that Michael had done in his career was do a Burger King, I think it was, like blueberry muffin commercial. And so his buddy, who was the stunt man, was like, okay, he's going to be on this panel. I want to have some of the volunteers bring him a blueberry muffin during this thing. So we go in and we're handing out the muffins. I'm the one that was supposed to go on stage and offer him one. Like, he could have murdered me. He took it so well in stride. So well in stride because his buddy was picking on him. But no, nice dude. Nice dude.
There you go.
Yeah. My first film, I if I would not call this a satire, but I would say that my movie, and I'm going to go in chronological order with my films. My first film, I think, is more of a lampoon of the genre of films than it would be a satire. It's the Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrams, and where's my other Zucker brother? David Zucker.
David.
Airplane. God, this movie, it is still so goddamn funny. Nobody is safe in this movie. Not the passengers, not the pilots. Sure as shit, not anything that anybody talks about. Nobody is safe if they are involved in this movie. It is so much fun, but it also kind of is very truthful about certain experiences. For example, Ted Stryker's experience being in Vietnam and how he's still dealing with PTSD and all of these other issues. It is hilarious. It still holds up. And while I loved our trip to LA, finding out when there was a special edition release of Airplane that there was an event we could have, if we'd known about, gone to do this. Part of me was like, I think it was the same night we went to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I probably would have loved to have done this because the Zookers were there.
Ooh.
They were in the audience and they did a Q&A. So this it is still classic. And just the other day, I was trying to get Connor's attention, and he's now got a tablet with messaging capabilities. So I sent him a message. Crystal was sitting next to me going, paging Connor Davidson to the white courtesy phone, call for you on the white courtesy phone. He had no fucking clue what I was talking about. He's not old enough yet to watch Airplane, so he wouldn't be able to see one in action. But anyway, this movie holds up. It is hilarious, and it, unless something truly horrible happens, will still be a film that will remain in the pop cultural lexicon, I suspect, for a really long time. And not just because I think it's a great, like, what is it, 88-minute movie? Yeah, 88 minutes, but because it still gets referenced, it still gets used, and that's because the jokes hold up.
Yeah, I agree. It is my favorite movie of all time. It is number 2 on my list, so we can move on. Yeah, I love it. I watch it quite regularly, and it is still my favorite Leslie Nielsen work to this date. I think it is the best of the Zucker Abrams Zucker era of spoofing all the different genres that they have spoofed over their time.
It hit my timeline recently. Have you seen the Leslie Nielsen interview videos that have been going around?
Mm-mm.
Where he'll He'll be talking to someone and he'll fart.
Ah, yes, I've heard about these. I've scrolled past it, and I was
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna watch that. And I just
watch
kept
it.
on scrolling.
Absolutely watch it, because particularly when you get to the end, it's fucking hilarious. It is priceless. I love that man. I miss him.
Right on. There you go. Yep. I mean, Airplane's my number two. What's your number two?
Oh, so wait, literally it was
Yes.
on your list.
Yes. Yeah,
Good
man.
taste you have, sir.
Yeah.
I doubt my next two will also be on your list. But my next one is from 1981 by a tiny writer director nobody's ever heard of, Sam Raimi, The Evil Dead, clocking in at 85 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, The Evil Dead, it gets in, it gets out, it's fucked up. Personally, I am way more comfortable watching Army of Darkness just because the creep factor. Just that's horror movies in general. It's not the creep factor of Evil Dead. I'm currently, as we are in approaching spooky season, happy first day of fall. Uh, I'm dancing around the, hey, do you want to watch a horror movie? No, you've contacted a giant chicken in a human suit. I will not be watching your movie. Get Hellraiser away from me, please and thank you. But The Evil Dead is one of those movies. I saw it actually third. Army
So
of
how do
Darkness
you have
first.
Evil Dead on your list, but not Army of Darkness?
I think it's over 90 minutes.
88, my friend.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't get Army of Darkness without The Evil Dead. So that's why it's on my list.
Yeah, well, I love revisionist history. We'll go with that.
In I watched Army of Darkness first because it was funny, and then went to Evil Dead 2, and then was able to handle Evil Dead 1. But you wouldn't get any other movies without this one. This is where it all starts. And it is any other project that you watch by Sam Raimi, you see it all, the beginning of it all here.
Mm-hmm.
And it is still tight, it is still controlled, and it's still interesting to see in the Evil Dead. And that's why it's my first one. Or that's why it's my second one in chronological order.
All right, right on. Right on. My last one clocking in at a robust 87 minutes, man. A little stop motion animation joint, man. The fantastic Mr. Fox.
Ooh.
Yes, I am a fan of Wes Anderson. This is known. This is one that I don't go back to as often, but when I do go back to it, I love it more and more every time. Is it the animated Ocean's 11? It might be. It's got a little more depth, I think, to the characters than Ocean's 11 does. Ocean's 11 is all about having fun. Wes Anderson does put a little bit of dimension to some of his characters. Still funny as all get out. It's my favorite Willem Dafoe performance. Strangely enough, as the rat with the switchblade, that is one of my favorite Wes Anderson characters. Is the rat with the switchblade because he's so silly. This is still an animated heist movie about these anthropomorphic animals and this a tale of aging and the guy trying to pull the one last score. The son who kind of idolizes them but can't quite live up to him, and dad has his sights set on nephew instead, and there's that whole little rivalry and beef going on there. There's some layers to this movie. It's just wonderful. The whole retinue of Wes Anderson characters are all there. It's a fun movie, and of course this whole list, quick and breezy. You can get in and get out, have some fun, and maybe do a little bit of growing.
I apparently don't remember this movie at all, other than that's
Yeah.
like it. Apparently, I saw it early days of Netflix when I lived in Maryland. Got it from there, and so I know I've seen it. Apparently, I know that they steal stuff, but I wouldn't have described it as a heist movie. I guess I need to go back and rewatch it. And amusingly, was just discussing that with Crystal recently because it's one of the few Wes Anderson movies that I do remember liking,
Yeah,
like
man.
enough to want to revisit.
It's good, man. Meryl Streep's doing a good job with her voice acting there. It's nonsense, and it's just a good movie in general. It's got a good solid story behind it.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your last pick, sir?
My last one is a film that came out technically in 2021, but it did festivals and stuff. But then it got a wider release earlier this year in 2022 and is already out on home video, Blu-ray, DVD, digital, all that good stuff. It's Hiraro. Good
Mm-hmm.
Lord, I
Mm-hmm.
just tripped over all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, my brain is just not working.
You want me to get him on the phone so we can pronounce it for you?
No,
Okay.
no, no. I'm tripping over my words, which is the worst part. Takayuki Hiro Hirao Hirao.
We'll get
Wow.
you there. We'll get you there.
Oh, it's been a day. This is
I'm
the
just
most
gonna
lucid
cut
I've been
that
all day.
segment and keep duplicating it over and over. It's gonna
Yeah,
be 10
thanks.
minutes.
Thanks. Thanks. You and friend of the show, Noel Manning, just gonna make it your ringtone.
Yep.
Just my embarrassment.
Here. I'm gonna put a little trap
Oh.
beat behind it. I'm gonna drop the bass out. It'll be great. Tight. Okay, so what's the
Moving
movie?
on. Moving on. Wow. A movie called Pompo the Cinephile. It's actually one of my favorite films this year. It is perhaps my uh I think at this moment it is my favorite animated film this year. For those of you that don't remember it from previous episodes this year, because I know I've talked about it, it's a film about a film being made in a fictional version of Hollywood called Nollywood. And Pompo herself is a very young girl who has taken over a producing company from her grandfather. And she has just this wealth of knowledge. She has the ability to spot talent. She is very well respected, et cetera, et cetera. And she decides that she's going to write a movie she wants to see. And instead of producing other people's movies, she's going to produce this one. But she gets her assistant, who has a gift for editing, to direct the movie. She gets someone who's never worked a day in their life but wants to be an actor to be this sort of ingenue. She convinces an actor of great renown in their world to come out of retirement to do this thing. So it's this great package. And the way that the film goes out, not only do you see the film get made and it's sort of optimistically told as this group effort from where everybody gets a voice, but it's also watching it being edited. It's also watching it being financed and the problems that come in and out of this. And the whole movie from beginning to end is sort of framed through the lens of making movies, so that even the opening is sort of this brief countdown and you see the metadata of that you would in an editing bay before this big musical number that kicks things off, as though it were at the Nollywood Awards, which are supposed to be their version of the Oscars. But why is this movie on my list when it's 94 minutes?
Oh, you cheating bastard. Why is that?
I'm not a cheating bastard. You said a 90-minute movie. This movie makes a point at one point for Pompo to comment that all movies should be 90 minutes. There's never been a good movie over 90 minutes. Only the best ones are. And so, what is the last line of the movie? And best of all, it's 90 minutes. Boom, the movie stops, cut to credits. It is literally 90 minutes long. The rest of it is just credits.
Oh,
So
wow.
it
Well
is
done.
a 90-minute movie. And it's a joke that pays off, but it's one of those inside baseball type of deals that if you've been swept up in the movie enough, if you come to meet the movie where it is with its emotionality, with its belief in storytelling, then that's a joke that lands. And for me, it very much did. And since as soon as you mentioned this topic, I went boom. That I'm including this movie because I love how well it sticks that landing, and it is 90 minutes.
Right on, right on. Well, I gotta say, I didn't do too terribly in my Douglas Davidson prediction pool for this
Wait,
episode.
you were predicting?
I came close. I have Army of Darkness on my list instead of Evil Dead. And my very last one is probably something animated that I wrote down.
That explains the
Yes, I
fist
was like,
bump you did.
yes, I'm in there. I'm in there. Should
Yeah,
have
it's
put
number
money on
nine
it.
on my list right now
Should have put
of
money on it.
movies of the year.
I also had Zombieland. I thought you might go the Zombieland route.
No,
No.
no.
All right, right on, right on. Good lists, sir. Good lists all around. It is quite rare that we have overlap, so um, good to see that, man. Good to see that. You want to move on to these
Let's do these challenges.
challenges?
And I'm gonna go first
Hmm.
because it'll answer a question that was brought up before. You brought up Robert Zemeckis, okay?
Bobby Bobby Zemeckis.
With Pinocchio. And as I mentioned, I went, wait a minute, where have I been thinking about Robert Zemeckis? I watched a quote unquote movie of his earlier this week when I watched Charlie Kaufman's I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I had not seen this movie.
That's the
It
whole point of the
had,
challenge, yeah.
I forget if it just hadn't been nominated for anything the year that it came out, or what it was that for whatever reason I never got to it. Because if it had been nominated, typically I watch everything that at least gets nominated.
Mm-hmm.
I can't because I try to make sure that if I'm going to vote on something, I have an opinion, right? So I'm really surprised that I hadn't seen it, and that's the only thing I could think of. I knew before watching it recently that it's an adaptation of a book. I understand that the book is super fucked up and that this deviates slightly in terms of the ending of it. Um, that the end of the book has this movie's been out for a while. I can probably say this
Yeah, this is like two
that
years
the
old. Yeah.
lead character. For those of you that don't know, the I'm Thinking of Ending Things is about a young woman going with her boyfriend of about 6 months to meet his parents. She's thinking of ending things. And that's what she says. But I'm thinking of ending things can mean a whole lot. It could mean the relationship, it could mean any
Life.
number of things. Life, exactly. And as we go through this movie, imagine that if you've seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which Charlie Kaufman wrote, take the sequence when the two of them are running through their memories and everything is getting super weird and fucked up and surreal. That's this whole movie, except
Mm.
where Jim Carrey's character was like, this shit isn't right. Jesse Buckley's character, on the other hand, is the girlfriend, just kept rolling with it.
Yeah.
So like Tony Collette and David Thewlis play Jesse Plemons' character's parents, and they'll get older, they'll get younger. She'll turn around and food will be on a table. All this weird shit will be happening, and she just rolls with it as if it's perfectly normal. That's the whole movie. Now, apparently, in the book, as we discover, Jesse Buckley's character and Jesse Plemons' character are actually the same person, who are actually the janitor at this high school that they end up at the end of the film. In the book, he apparently says, "I'm thinking of ending things," and stabs himself in the neck with a wire hanger and dies. There's a suggested death in the movie after a dance sequence, but over the credits the car starts up, so who the fuck knows if he's dead or not, especially because we see a broom show up and move snow out from around the younger dancer body that is the Jesse Plemons replacement. The whole movie's surreal, the whole movie is fucked up. I did not feel well. I have been dealing with, as of this recording, a headache and or migraine since Blonde, so today's Wednesday, about 4 days now. I was in so much pain, and yet I did not want to stop watching. I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It's a whole lot of talking, it's a whole lot of narration, but the movie is so weird and the performances are so good that I wanted to keep watching. And I had to stop it, including credits, about 30 minutes in. So they'd gotten to the high school, but I had to stop, go to bed, take some medication, go to bed early. And then I finished it the next day. It's really good. It's fucked up, but in a good way, not in a way where you feel dirty. More like with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where you're like, I need to rewatch this because now that I know where it ends, I want the journey
Mm-hmm.
of how they get there. This is a fantastic film. It's streaming on Netflix. As of yet, it is not available in any physical formats, unless you can snag a screener. Sometimes people sell those on eBay.
How dare they?
You say that like someone who's done it.
No, that was a genuine reaction.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
no, you don't do that.
You're not. No, no, you're not supposed to do that at all.
No.
I've held on to screeners, but I keep them where no one else can get them.
Got him right
Uh,
here.
exactly, exactly. I'm staring at my neon box
The
sets.
ones I want to keep, anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or ones that I know won't get a physical release, like I'm thinking of ending things, and I'm now regretting it.
Shit, man. I wish I hadn't tossed that one. God damn it.
See?
Well, ski mask season.
Time to go to Netflix, apparently.
Well, I'm in your house. I can find it at your place quicker than I can find it at Netflix.
Oh, I don't have this. No, I don't have this one.
Ah, damn it. I guess I have to reach out to Sarandos then. I have it at number 5 on my top 10 of 2020 is where it landed.
I did not have it on there at all.
Yeah.
I would have to, if I were to retroactively go in, I wouldn't go back and retroactively add it because I only do it within the calendar year. But I'd probably rate this pretty high. This is a solid damn movie. It's weird and it raises a lot of questions, and I don't think any of them are answered in a single viewing.
Not a goddamn one of them answered in any view. It's what really turned me on to Jesse Buckley. I was like, Jesse Buckley's fucking holding this movie all the way down.
Game Night didn't do that for you?
No, it didn't.
I don't understand how this could be profitable for Frito-Lay. Like that entire line delivery. There's so much of that of Game Night that works solely because of Jesse Plemons. That man.
No, not Plemons, Buckley.
Oh, Jesse Buckley. I'm sorry, different.
Plemons is he's. I think I've talked about this in the show before. This is my favorite type of Plemons. I like sheepish Jesse Plemons because he does it so well, and we see that in Power of the Dog as well, especially when he's around Kirsten Dunst's character a lot, which he's with her more than I'd say he's with Doctor Strange. He's I like sheepish Jesse Plemons, but no, this is what put Buckley on the map for me as one of my favorite actresses. You gave me Okja.
I did.
Another it was a Netflix-a-thon this time around, a Netflix joint, and it's gotten the Criterion release. And I would like to point out that I've been campaigning for an I'm Thinking of Ending Things Criterion since this movie came out.
I want the Five Bloods first, if that's okay.
Those are the two that I've been campaigning for Netflix the most. I'm like, you can take your Power of the Dog shit. Give me the Five Bloods. Give me I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Those are the two I want translated. But anyways, Okja.
Real quick, I bet if the Five Bloods had gotten the awards respect I think it deserved, certainly Delroy Lindo, that it would have gotten a Criterion release like Power of the Dog did. Because Power of the Dog is a very good movie. I do think so. I will never watch that again, but I do think it was a very good movie. The Five Bloods I have not watched again, but I will. It is a film that I plan to revisit, particularly when I'm looking to either educate my children or to use as a tool to explore different perspectives of veterans and the way in which wars are perceived from different perspectives. The Five Bloods should have personally gotten a Criterion before Power of the Dog.
Yeah. You're 100%
sorry.
correct.
Let's talk Okja. Go ahead.
You're 100% correct on all of that. Okja is a good movie, man. If I got my timeline down, this is the beginning of the I'm Jake Gyllenhaal and I do what the fuck I want phase. Because what he's doing in this movie is simultaneously hilarious and sad, because there are definitely people like this in the world. And for those of you who don't know what Okja is about, although you can go watch this as soon as you get done listening to this episode, the world is in a non-sustainable way of making food, much like the world is today. Technology is made to grow these, what they call like super pigs. Super pigs, yes.
Well, they're not. Technology doesn't make them. They are found.
We are told. They are found. And in a contest is held for who is the best super pig. They're farmed out all over the world. And then we find out that things are not as we have been told, basically. The wool has been pulled over the proverbial public's eyes. Corporate greed, heartlessness, it's all the center of this. It has a strong animal rights message. Uh, it it gently hits you over the head. I won't say it completely bashes you over the head. And it's not exactly subtle. It's gentle and it's hey, just it's not an anti omnivore message. It's just that hey, if you're eating meat, just kind of be mindful of where these things came from, and what it took to get to your fridge plate store, whatever the case may be. I think is what they're trying to go for, is just be mindful of how you are interacting with the other living animals that inhabit this world with you. Directed by Bong Joon-ho, who is always great at having a undertone of some sort of thought-provoking message in his films, whether you get them or you don't. Though we saw that with Parasite, we've seen that with Memories of Murder. I thought it's a damn fine movie. I've never been a huge Tilda Swinton fan, but here I think she turns it up to a different level. The young girl whose name I don't have in front of me, I thought she was delightful. I thought Stephen Yeun is wonderfully shitty in this movie. And I'm also not a huge Paul Dano fan either, but I found him quite charming in this movie as well. Something I never thought I would say, Paul Dano and charming in the same sentence, but I do find him to be earnest in what he is trying to do, and all these different elements and stews of corporate greed during their corporate greed and anti-corporation during their anti-corporation, all centered around this kid who just wants to live in harmony with her companion super pig. It's a great stew that meshes all together, that I enjoyed while I was eating my 2 burgers.
And you say that sort of jokingly, but I would agree with you that the movie is not trying to convince you of one thing or the other. When the movie ends and Misha's back home, the young girl who was going to save Oksha, she's still eating meat. It's all about where you're getting your messages from. One of the things I love about this movie is that Tilda Swinton plays a pair of twins. See, I'm struggling even just saying this. But one is the cutthroat asshole who was ousted from the company, and the other one is this fresh-faced, we love everybody and we're going to be good for stuff, except the fresh-faced one is the one you can't trust, whereas the cutthroat one is.
The cutthroat one does not present herself as anything other than what she is.
Absolutely.
And that's the one that it's not about trust, not trusting. It's just like, well, believe them when they show you who they say they are, and roll with it.
But that's what I mean by trust, is that you can look at one twin and go, okay, I know who you are. I know what you value. When you say something, you mean it, versus look at the other one and you have no fucking clue. And it's that idea that runs through a lot of the film, that even Paul Dano's character, he's like, we care about humanity and we care about life of all kinds, but he's an incredibly violent person. And when he finds out that Stephen Yeun has betrayed Misha and therefore them, he beats the shit out of him.
That's what made it a science fiction movie, because in no world is Paul Dano being the shit out of Stephen Yeun.
No idea. So there's this wonderful messaging that quite literally runs through the whole movie. It's incredibly layered. And I mean, I don't expect anything less from the mind that gave us Snowpiercer and Parasite. Memories of Murder, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was my own expectations or whatever else, didn't work for me as well as his other works. And I think for me, it's probably Snowpiercer and Oksha. Depends on my mood, which one is at the top with Parasite underneath it.
Memories of Murder works for me because it's what I have always. It goes counterbalance to the law and orders of the world, how everything is right and just, and here is our evidence, and this, that, and the third, and we will take it to court, and the court will, of course, do the right thing, and we'll put this bad person behind bars, case is closed, da-dong, on to the next episode. I've always thought that's complete bullshit, and I've always thought Memories of Murder is a little bit more realistic in how police do their business, and cats are just like, listen, we got to close this case. because that's their asses. That's the percentages in closed cases is a big part of their job and their job performance. So the lengths that they will go to attempt to get a case closed, I think, in Memories of Murder is quite realistic, which is why I like it as much as I do.
Certainly, if I were to rewatch it with my expectations shifted, I would, I think, appreciate some of the humor a little bit more and be able to follow the story better. Because it gets grim. It does get grim. I'll give it that.
It does,
But
and it also gives me one of my favorite shots in cinema, that ending shot where they silhouetted in the tunnel with the guns to the guy's head. That's it's a great shot. Great shot. You got anything else there, good sir?
other than the fact that more movies by Bong Joon-ho would be great.
We were getting something soon. Yeah, we are getting something soon. We're getting something next year, I think. So,
Yeah.
the Bong himself will be back. It's called. It might be hitting festivals later this year. Whatever's left in festivals this year, we are getting.
A version of the movie database says that there's an untitled animated Bong Joon-ho film coming.
There's a science fiction film apparently that he's making called Mickey 7.
No idea.
Robert Pattinson. That's right. That's like, yes, because it's our Pats in a Bong Joon-ho movie. And I was like, okay, very interesting. Stephen Yun back
Tony
again.
Collette,
Tony
Mark
Collette.
Ruffalo, Naomi Aki.
Yeah, so it's I'm here for it. You got anything else before we wrap this bad boy up, sir?
No. Other than if you haven't seen either Oksha or I'm Thinking of Ending Things, as both of us have pointed out, they are each on Netflix. Check them out.
Check them out.
Though you can watch Oksha in 4K if you get it from Criterion, in which case wait for the next sale, buy it for $25.
There you go. Next sale happening here in 2 months' time, I do believe. Well, I think November will be the final sale of the year. And people wonder why I work as much overtime as I do.
I still haven't made my way through the ones I got in July. So even if there was anything I wanted to get, I still need to watch these. I don't think I can bring myself to buy anything more from Criterion until I watch what I have.
They announced like 4 movies that I'm like, yes, in the mood for love in 4K, which will be bought the day it comes out. The Infernal Affairs trilogy, for all you don't know, the first one is what Scorsese adapted into The Departed. Malcolm X is a must. I'm getting that one, and I forget what the fourth. I forget what the fourth movie was. I think I'm looking at getting Devil in the Blue Dress.
Have not seen any of the ones you just mentioned, except for In the Mood for Love. I've seen that. I own it. Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes,
literally, thank you. You challenged me to watch an earlier episode of the show. So I've seen that. The only thing I'm interested in out of the stuff that you mentioned, as in like to get, is Malcolm X, because I've never seen it. And I would love to check that out. And I have a couple other Spike Lee Criterion releases, so it's sort of like, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get to it.
There you go. I'll get around to it. I wouldn't challenge you to Malcolm X. That's just we stop our challenges before 3 hours. Only 2-hour 59-minute movies and below for our challenges.
And I know that we're at the end of the show, so I don't know if I don't normally like getting into speculation. You're aware of this. I haven't found any proof on it, but I have seen somewhere that the Daily Wire is trying to get a Malcolm X movie off the ground in which they hire a white actor to play Malcolm.
Oh, yeah. Give that to me, please. I would love to watch that just crash and bomb and burn all to hell. And waste everybody. It involves money and time.
It's somehow linked to the idea of, if we can make white characters black, why can't we make black characters white? And I'm going because all of the characters that have been cast as with black actors,
their whiteness was never a concern of the movie.
It was never intrinsic to the character.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, come on, people.
Yeah. If it was just a character who happened to be black and you wanted to make a joke, yeah, sure, go for it. But if what that story deals with is inherent to their blackness. Nah, nah, nah.
Like I could see a argument made where a white character could become Black Panther, but I don't think there's an argument to cast a white actor to play T'Challa. Like you couldn't do that
Yeah, yeah.
because Black Panther is a mantle. So theoretically it could be passed. I don't know if it ever has in Marvel, but theoretically it could be passed.
You heard
But
it here first.
T'Challa could not be.
Douglas wants Martin Freeman as Black Panther by the
No,
end
no, no,
of
no. He's the
Wakanda
Tolkien
Forever.
white guy. We don't make the
Get rid of that.
colonizer.
Can't make him Black Panther.
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
So that's it for this episode. We'll be back here in a couple weeks.
Soon.
Keep this bad boy rolling at the 3/4 century mark for episode 75. So we'll have to.
We're getting old.
We're getting old. We have to think
We're
of
gonna
something.
have to. We're gonna have to do the Ferrari of episodes. You know, quarter life crisis, whatever the fuck it is. Although technically after 25 we should have cut this thing off like Leo, but you know, whatever. we're gonna keep it going.
Yeah, Ferrari, Corvette. I think either one of those works. Yeah, Ferrari, Corvette, on that motorcycle, something like that. We'll get a good meaty episode for 75. We'll roll out the big guns. Until then, you all take it easy and have a good one out there.
Watch more movies.